Car crashes are the leading cause of death for children, according to the U.S. Department of Transportation. Elizabeth Carey from AAA and Trooper James O'Callahan from the New York State Police joining us this morning with tips to keep our kiddos safe. So thank you both for being here this morning. What are some of the common mistakes parents are making?
There's really three common things that are happening. One, the seat itself is loose in the car, and it shouldn't be like that. It should be sturdy and in there tight. Secondly, the straps on the child are too loose. It might be that the kid had a jacket on and then they don't have one on. That should be snug and tight fitting, so you can only fit like 2 fingers under those straps. And then thirdly, people skipping the car seat altogether, putting the child in a seatbelt that isn't designed for that small of a body, or skipping the entire booster seat phase.
Okay, so this is obviously a very serious offense, you know, if you're caught with your child not restrained properly. Talk to us about that, Trooper O.
No, absolutely. It's a heavy fine, 3 points and hundreds of dollars, but the fact of the matter is in 2022, troopers issued over 4,700 tickets for a child not being restrained in a proper car seat. And then this year we're looking at 4,100 tickets issued. Those are people that were pulled over or a trooper was able to see that a child wasn't properly seated. So it happens, like I said, very often. And it's one of those things where you really do put your child at risk of injury or death, and even a minor collision.
Talk to us about what the regulations are at this point, if you could.
No, absolutely. So if you have a newborn child, it's rear facing for 2 years, and then you flip it around to an infant type seat with a 5-point harness from 3 to 4 years old. And at 4 to 7, so from 4 to 7, you're in that booster seat. It could be, there's multiple different versions. Some of them have harness, but you could wear a seatbelt as well in that booster seat. So we always say, like, you graduated a child at the age of 8. That's where you can actually sit in the actual car seat. But even then, if you have a smaller 8-year-old, there's nothing wrong with keeping them in that booster seat for a good amount of time. Like, you know, Elizabeth said, you want that seatbelt to come right along, not high on the neck, but right along the shoulder. And if your child's too short and it does kind of come up, you don't want that.
Yeah, so the weight and the height has a lot to do with it too.
Any vehicles that either of you feel comfortable recommending in terms of keeping kids safe in the back seat?
That's really a personal choice, but the real point is making sure that you're secured in that vehicle. I mean, half the children injured or even killed in crashes weren't in a restraint, or they weren't in the restraint properly.
No, that's what it comes down to. A lot of not seatbelted, not on the proper seat. If you are in a collision, whether your child was in the car seat or not, if your vehicle's in a collision, you need to replace that seat. The plastics are only meant to, you know, combine with so much stress. And when you get in a collision, a lot of that friction, a lot of that stress is pushed. And what it does is it basically fatigues that car seat. And you'll see your car seat, you might have one child who's like 15 now and one who's a newborn. You got that span in between. There's an expiration date on those seats. Those 5-point harnesses, the sun constantly hitting that plastic, that seat can fatigue over time. That's why there's that expiration date. So don't buy a used car seat and pay attention to those expiration dates. You don't want to get in a collision on a very old seat and it not work for your child.
Very good advice. Trooper O, Elizabeth Carey with AAA. Thank you both for being here this morning. Mike Syka's got a check of the forecast when we come back.